Hey y'all, so I had a dream last night and it was about like spiritual baby miscarriages, okay? And this kind of ties into the word that I posted yesterday, or the few words that I posted yesterday. Um, and so just like a physical miscarriage of a baby, right? Um, it brings you into intense mourning, right? I've had a miscarriage, and the pain, physical pain and mental, emotional pain that comes with it, I would not wish on anybody ever. It is terrible. Um, and again, like with a miscarriage comes intense mourning, grieving, right? Hopelessness, shock, confusion, feeling alone and isolated, overwhelmed, anger, jealousy, all of the things, right? And so maybe you have experienced, a spiritual miscarriage of a spiritual baby, right? And maybe you've experienced multiple of them. Maybe you and your spouse, right, have, it's like, you get pregnant spiritually with this baby, and you're carrying it for a short time, and then all of a sudden it's almost like it's died. And then you have to go through the process of trying again, right? And then you might have gone through it again, like lost the baby, and then you have to go back through the process of mourning again, and like, I don't know, but it happens. I had a dream last night that I know to be for others. Although it was me and my spouse in the dream. I even have a friend, that has gone through this, and we were talking about it today, and I'm like, wow. So this isn't just, this is bigger than my situation. But, in the dream, I pretty much like looked down, and I just had this like moment of realization, like, my stomach hasn't been growing in a few months. And then I also realized, like, I've been getting my period, like I've not been pregnant for a little while, and I didn't even realize it. Like, I had lost the baby. And I was more so in shock in the dream, just in shock that I didn't know. And I was like, wow. And so then God kind of brought it. This is all tying into also what I had posted about yesterday. Today I had gotten the number 67, which in the Strongs means Abel of Egypt, which was a place of mourning, grieving. And I had also gotten the number 27, which means beloved, dearly beloved, deep unconditional love. And at the same time, I had seen Your Man on the radio. So I'm not 100% sure what that means, yet, but I do know the gist of what God is saying is, like, you've got to, if you've experienced the loss of pregnancy, right, spiritually speaking, it can be hard to trust that the next time around is going to be successful, right? Because you've gone through this loss and suffered from this loss, right? And the amount, like the emotional impact that it has on you, the pain, physical and spiritual, even spiritual, it can impact your relationship with God. When you become hope deferred, you can become angry with God. Like, God, why did you let this happen? How could you let this happen? Why would you let this happen? Why? It can cause a lot of negative emotions and feelings. And it can cause anger and confusion with God. But the thing is with miscarriages, like, a lot of them are sometimes, a lot of the time, it happens and we don't know why it happens. I don't know why it happens. Does God make it happen? No. Um, but there's no real answer. I mean, I don't really know that there's any. I don't have an answer for that. Why God allows things to happen the way that they happen sometimes. Um, but what I do know is that God brings hope and a future. So it's important to not allow the past and what has happened in the past to dictate your mindset and outlook on the future, right? If God spoke a thing, then it's going to happen. You might run into a few miscarriages, a few bumps in the road on the way there, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, right? So you have to be sure to trust God's word, trust in God, and trust in his timing, and fully trust, put your trust in him, right? I realize that, pregnancy after loss means that there is no guarantee. If it happened then, it could happen again, but God's promises come to pass, right? Sometimes it takes a while. Sarah and Abraham, they didn't get pregnant until they were very old, but it happened. I can imagine the hopelessness they might have felt, right? Waiting that long. But God's promise came to pass. It's important to have hope because, pregnancy after loss, or just life after loss, right, can bring you into a place of feeling despair, just feeling like, waiting for the shoe to kind of drop, right? God brings you into this new renewed relationship. You might be trying to find a reason why it shouldn't work because it didn't in the past, right? Just waiting for the shoe to drop, waiting for something to happen, because that may have been what you experienced in the past. But you cannot look back. You cannot look at the past in order to move forward, right? It can cause anger, conflicts of anger and jealousy. So it's important to seek peace, right? Going back to what I said yesterday, the enemy might come in and try to tempt you with like, oh, look at these people, they're getting married. These people, they're having babies. They're over there, they've got this going on and they've got that. And it can make you, because you might be suffering loss and you're sitting in a different position than them, it might make you angry. It can make you jealous. So it's very important to keep the right heart posture and to seek peace and keep your peace. Guard your heart and keep your peace as much as you can. And know that God's promise will come to pass for you. He has not forgotten about you. He comes before you. He's behind you, before you, goes before you, and he is with you always. And he's always in control, right? And understand the fear that comes with it. Yes, fear, lots of fear comes from miscarrying, spiritual or physical babies, right? It's just the fear, the unknown of what can happen. It's, anything, right? So just choose love, choose to walk in love. Kind of what God's been speaking on, just walk in love. Just put on the full armor of God, right? Walk in truth. What did God say? What does God's word say? Know that God's plans are to give you hope and a good future, to prosper you, not to harm you, not to hurt you. His plans over your life will prosper. Stand in faith, stay hopeful. Know that if God spoke a word, it's going to happen. Don't allow the enemy to come in and manipulate you into thinking your life is hopeless and that things are never going to turn out for you. God has not forgotten you. And in his timing, things will come together just as he has promised you. And don't allow the past, right, to affect your future and the way that you think, the way that you feel. Don't allow it to manipulate your feelings, your emotions. Yeah. That is the word. I pray that it gets to who it needs to get to at the right